Let's go to work, 'cause I'm tripping. Gotta work on myself, 'cause I'm falling apart. Please wake me up, 'cause I'm slipping. Can't fight this feeling off no more. But I'm not going to give up and fall. Rise above the door, meet all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat it all. I'm never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again. Yeah. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go. Start to believe in myself, and life will be sweet again. So sweet again. Oh, na, 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 na. When all I see is darkness and gloom, yeah, I've been running from my doom. Oh, na, 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 na. But now it's down to live my life, but now I know what I need to do. Can't stay right when it's blowing, pushing me down. Feels like I'm falling apart, yeah, I hold on. Head held high, can't fight this feeling off no more. But I'm not going to give up and fall. Rise above it all, meet all my challenges, search for my strength. I defeat a ball, I never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again, again. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go. Let it go. And I start to believe in myself, and life will be sweet again. When all I see is darkness and gloom, yeah, I'll be running from my doom. Oh, na, 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 na. But now it's time to live my life, and now I know what I need to do. Oh, na, 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 na. When all I see is darkness and gloom, yeah, I'll be running from my doom. Oh, na, 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 na. But now it's time to live my life, but now I know what I need to do.
Hey guys. Before we get started, let me call my friend Joe. Get him in here. I got a question for him. Hey Joe, you there? Hey buddy, how's it going?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I sure can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, you sound great. You look great.
Thank you. So do you, sir.
Hey man, Joe, I don't know if you're still doing this, but I'm looking for something. Do you still in that business, of finding something?
Sometimes I may have what you're looking for. I've been known to solve some problems.
Um, Let me tell you what I'm after. You tell me if you got it, okay?
Right ahead. What you need? You mean to whack somebody, off somebody, whack off somebody?
No, man, it's nothing like that. Incandescent light bulbs.
Oh, you want this, don't you? I have ordered them all for myself in my warehouse with all of the toilet paper in Florida.
You lucky bastard, man.
I got a fire sale going on out back. If you got a fiery butthole, I got about 17 trailer loads of toilet paper. Some went back in time to 1986 and robbed some. What is this? A 60 watt? Yeah, 60 watt. Still good.
Damn, you got the 60 waters. Wow.
Yeah, look at that. I gotta
Smart.
study these things. So yeah, Sylvania. It's
How's it going, buddy?
a real life, actual incandescent bulb. These things are like gold, right?
I
So,
know.
so what's up, man? Oh, cool. So this one, Daryl. This is for you.
Hey, since we're doing that, Mike Dyer, you sent me some silver, and I want you to know that this is awesome. I have an idea for this. When we get this wilderness boot camp going, these are freaking graduation badges.
Beautiful,
Means that
beautiful.
all the silver you guys have been sending me, that's what it's going to go for. It's they're going to be burned beneath the fire, charged with the soil. It's going to be badass, man. So I just want
Good
to
idea.
say,
What can I
Mike,
use?
Mike, thanks for the fun, man. Really appreciate it. Anyway,
That's beautiful. Yeah, nice, beautiful gift. What can I use in place of silver? I can't really touch silver. Being a lycanthrope kind of hurts.
you're going to have to learn to adapt, man. You're going to have to muse with that.
So, well, I do like hack myself with silver knives every once in a while, just because have that whole psychosis from being circumcised. It's just hack myself apart sometimes.
Yeah, well, Benjamin Balderson has been teaching me that gold is actually cursed, and as gold is cursed, the silver becomes pure. It's a balance thing. So you should be good with silver. You should be good with it.
Mulder says gold is cursed.
Yeah, yeah, man. And anyway, I'd rather him explain it because I'll fuck it all up. I'll screw that up.
I've always hated gold. If I've ever worn any jewelry, it's usually either titanium or pewter or something heavy metal. Because I'm pretty freaking metal. Bendable things they don't last on my iron body. So
Bendy parts. Yeah, yeah. Too many bendy parts.
yep.
Too many protrusions. So we've talked before. You guys are welcome to go back and look at our last talk. That was back in a different world. I mean, not really for us as much, Joe, but like the world around us was.
Yeah, the world around us has changed, and that affects us because everybody else around us has changed. So while we're still living in our little pocket dimensions here, it's like brush fires everywhere, all around the world. In my work life and in daily life now. So glad to get the chance to come back and talk with you again, my friend. Thank you.
Well, yeah. Well, you and I are always passing messages underneath the bars, the prison bars, as we communicate down the hallway with little cockroaches that we rigged up with little backpacks and stuff, and these magnetic little attachments, and we send each other code. So
The time I turned myself into a pickle and rode a cockroach into your cell, that was cool.
as this gets worse, we're going to need to develop a human encoded way of communicating. And I think the best way to do that is there's going to have to be a multi-level layers of talk. Basically, we need to encrypt humanity around an outer shell of bullshit. So like in a message that says, "Hey, Joe, I'm really excited about all the advances we're making in vaccines." And that would be like the outer candy shell, of this inner communication that has this human element to it. And I don't want to say it right now because I'd tell the machine, but all of us are slowly having to develop this underground railroad language, and it's going to become important. It's already important, actually. We're already doing it. Many of us on Craigslist will spell out one number of the phone number, which is funny because as a programmer, I'm like, guys, that does not work at all. I could so find those. It's so easy. But again, it's the same idea where you can encode humanity inside of an outer language. And it's fascinating because that's exactly what they're doing with us right now. The ritual that's happening all around us is this exact same technique. But really, it's showing us an ability that we have to talk to each other. In fact, MEMS, I think, are the perfect example of that. It's an outer vehicle where the machine sees it as, oh, this is opposition mem. I know that because Joe fucking has it and he shared it, and that guy's a dickhole. So it's like automatically put into that category, but they don't know why. That the machine cannot look at the mem and actually determine what it is about it that makes it so fiery or popular. It can simply just rate it. Has a hotness of 8.6 and a subversive rating of 6.2 because it's between Joe and James and, blah, 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 blah. But they can never actually get to the meat. They can never actually find the bone of what that is instead, which is something we can use to our advantage.
Well, I mean, it has the advantage of being a static object that doesn't really conduct any kind of behavior on the internet, so it's not subject to any kind of antiviral or malware kind of an algorithm either. So, they have to be kind of manually looked at by a person and said, this is shite and taken down. So,
Yep, you're right. That is going to require humans. And even as those humans, though, are adapted and fall into the machine, they, just as you see the cogs of government, the cogs of the medicine, the cogs of the military, where the machinery themselves is still lost into the machine, they lose their human abilities. So even with a human, we actually still have an ability to send data past them. It's just a matter of how adept we can get at this art. It's very much like archery, where we're out there battling and we have to get that arrow just right, to pass through all the filters, all the leaves, all the trunks, all of it, and still make the target. So
it's almost like Navajo code talking, or the drow from Menzoberranzan that use their hand talk and their codes to get by, because where the dark elves live, the males are like oppressed, so they use like a lot of hand language and stuff like that, so no one gets on to what they're talking. So
wow.
I'm gonna go into D&D references all day, that. So
Oh, well, that's why we have you. The Navajo thing is a really good example, actually. I keep forgetting that. That was the hardest language to crack. You could argue that it's because it was so human, because it was so subterranean. I don't know, actually. I don't really know that much about it. I just know that was a harder one to
yeah.
decode.
Well, they couldn't. I don't think they actually were able to crack it, and then we turned around and employed them in World War I and II to crack everything else. Those, whatever that is. I mean, I have no Indian blood, so I can't. I'm native to this land in this current time. So, whatever they did back then, there was obviously a master stroke of communication to do that. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Speaking of which, what's happening around us is, I hate using this word, guys, but it's just true. It's a brilliant. What they're doing is brilliant. It's an expert level, real badass. I have to actually use the word a form of art. It's please don't hear that wrong. What I mean is that it's an exquisite psychopathy that we're looking at, and I say that because you have to really understand the opponent well. If we're looking at these people as like broken or decrepit or evil, we're never going to fully grasp where they are in the trees. The predator's stealth is just going to be it's going to be too evasive for us. It's only when we notice how this is an art form to them that you can start to decode and look at and catch what it is they're doing all around us. All of us only know our past. We can only we've only decrypted the past. The future is still decoded or encoded. It's compressed still. It's like unzipping a compressed zip file. We haven't gotten into the future yet. They already have that. They see the future. I'm not trying to say they can actually see the real life future, but what I mean is you have to realize that they know what's coming because they're the ones that have laid the bricks to lead us where we're going.
they have a roadmap of where they want to get to and how they're going to get there. And the way the roadmap has always worked is you have people at various points in history that progress the roadmap further and further. We're all pretty aware that we've seen kind of an acceleration of things, and the probably our lifetimes have been extremely accelerated. But the end game is not. People think that this is it. The end game is always down the road. It's not the roadmap is something that doesn't. It may have a final end objective, but like they're in no rush to get there. So I mean, obviously, right now we got Bill Gates and all these maniacs that are like they want to get us there, and in their lifetime they want to put as much of a mark on it as they can, but just because we are not helpless in this, and that's where everybody's at. We're all, I like to look at things rationally as to, whether or not, I tend to, my experience tends to align with more like something with like what Andy was talking about around germ theory based upon my own experience, but I'm not stupid enough to just throw everything else in the garbage. I think Louis Pasteur is a hack. I know germ theory came from him. I'm living proof that he's a hack because everybody knows I'm the raw milk guy. So I don't really put a whole lot of stock into that, but you'd be stupid to ignore it. I mean, there is stuff going on, and there's definitely it's a play. They're running their roadmap. They even said, we had this event 201 last year where we're gonna run this event to see how disaster prepared the country is to this. They've alluded to it many times throughout their work, and those of us that know how to watch know what's really up. So, the big thing is to not panic. I think. I mean, everybody, I mean, we need to be fucking Jedi about this, because all right, we'll go right back to pop culture. It's why you bring me on, because I'm funny like that. But so we'll go back to fear of loss is a path to the dark side. So if you're so afraid to lose everything, I'm not saying that you want to lose things and you should give them away, but if you're terrified of it, you are not going to make good decisions about keeping it or taking care of the business at hand that you need to take care of. Because right now, we all need to be taking care of business, okay? Whether it be yourself, your friends, your family, everybody around you. I think you said it, the men need to step up. And you know what? There are plenty of strong women out there that can step right up too and keep everybody together, okay? We're separated right now, and my warning is that we just need to have a threshold. Like, let's be smart about this, okay? Let's understand where we're at, that there could be this virus that could kill people, and we should, do something about it. But at the same point in time, to throw the entire freaking world in the handbasket without really any solid proof is just dumb. So we kind of have to take a step back and say, all right, we're playing this game, but we know what the fuck you motherfuckers are up to. So the more that we can project that, the more people are gonna start to realize, okay, something's going on here. They're going to keep layering on more layers of trauma. Like, for example, I just got some messages about they're wheeling bodies out and putting them into carts at New Rochelle Hospital and into back of semi trucks. And there's videos of it and pictures. And it's like, okay, this doesn't confuse you? No, not at all. I understand a ritual when I see one. Like, that's not how you process dead bodies. Okay. They're putting 1, 2, 3, 4, I see 5, 6, whatever they are in the back of a truck. Why the hell are they using a semi truck? Then it drives up before they fill it. So, I mean, you see, like, none of that really adds up. People don't bring out bodies in full hazmat suits with things on into like right along the main thoroughfare there in New Rochelle where the hospital is, where I was born. Like, that's not medical. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but like, that's not, I've worked in HIPAA and I've worked with hospitals and doctors for a very long time. And I'd be fucked if that's the way they actually do things. Maybe things have changed under the military. For all we know, the military's doing it this way. But that just
the nurse is doing the Rockettes kick. That was a bit much, I thought. As the bodies were coming out. To me, that's when I thought something maybe is up here. This may not be right. That
actually happened. You saw that?
No. I was trying to be funny.
I wouldn't doubt it. But I mean,
I'm in the house with you. Yeah. Well, I'm in the house with you. I'm trying to be funny, and I shouldn't. I should let you do that.
It's all good. It's all good. It's funny is what we're here for. So, I just say, we should be prudent. We should be vigilant about everything, when it comes to health and when it comes to freedom. I mean, you look at where we're at right now. Anybody who has half a brain in their head knows that, or has been around for a little while, knows that, when the power is assumed, it's never given back, really, not willingly. So we need to just let them know we know it's up, because at some point, the jig is going to be up, and they're going to do the Darth Vader, Princess Leia, Grand Moff Tarkin scene where she tells him the tighter you squeeze, the more systems will fall through your fingers, and that's the truth. So the more they try to squeeze us, the more pain people are going to feel. It's going to get uglier and uglier, and they're not going to put troops in the streets to martial. There isn't enough fucking troops in the world to martial law this country. I mean, it's just not possible. Okay, it's not. I mean, you could attack the country with its own troops, but as soon as they do that, the jig is up, man. It's fucking up. They can spin it however they want. It's Americans killing Americans, and the jig is up. I mean, that'll be the full-on squeeze, and you're gonna have everybody from cops and soldiers to their parents going, "Wait, what?" You know what I mean? Like, people are right now still stuck in their comfort zone. They want to be, okay, I'm going to be locked in for 30 days. I'm afraid of getting sick, so I'm going to stay there. That makes sense. Okay, but what happens after 30 days? Okay, if if they're still giving you plenty of fear porn and you're still sitting in your house and freaking the heck out, you really should take a good hard look at what's going on. You know, what kind of data are they feeding us? What are these tests? What are they looking for? Like, you know, I think what Andy's exposed is
Right?
much
Yeah,
more evident than anything. I mean, germ theory is, to me, bunk. I mean, Pasteur even said it was bunk on his deathbed. So, I mean, should we throw the whole world? And that's the thing with the false positive, is that when when an entire research line is based upon a false positive, the whole thing goes in the garbage. You can't make any assumptions. So if germ theory isn't entirely accurate, then this whole thing is not what it seems. If people are dying from some kind of a sudden surge in something, it's not what it seems. Then it's not, at least it's not exactly what they're telling us. So could be 5G, could be something in the atmosphere, could be something, who the heck knows? I don't freaking know. But I mean, I can tell you what, I don't fucking believe what the TV tells me. I know that's bullshit. So,
well, you can definitely use what's happening as a cipher into what the cause is. For example, if everyone's stuck in their home or even in their community, which is also happening, you've got county lines and state lines which are being blocked. In fact, California is now suggesting that that's the new way of doing it. They're talking about seceding from the nation, and it's all these are excuses to create more borders. You know, California will explain, well, no, we're not trying to block you in. It's because we're our own country now, so we're going to put up a fence. You're going to see a lot of these kind of things. I mean, fence that could be a soft fence, a hard fence. Anyway, there's a cipher that's there, and it's real important that I think people understand that there are two theories to disease, and only one of them is called germ theory. That's one. There's a different theory, and that's called terrain theory. And in fact, we know terrain theory is legit. We see that every day in what happens in your environment. This is not even outside of civilization. I can drink water that has GRE in it and remember that there's something called terrain theory, that there could be a sickness in the environment that will make me sick. And what they're doing with the lockdown is they're preventing any kind of terrain theory testing to even occur. Because if there's something inside of your environment and you're not allowed to leave your environment, how can you test if it's the environment? The answer is you can't. Additionally, the government is your doctor now. There's no exceptions to that. Think about it. Every single doctor in the world, including MIT/Duke trained Dr. Kaufman, who we released this last video on, that guy's been overridden. It wasn't overridden by a doctor. He was overridden by a pro wrestling reality star that wears orange makeup. He's the one that said, no, Dr. Kaufman, all the studies you've done doesn't matter. We're going to go with germ theory. You're not even going to be able to test terrain theory. In fact, that's going to be against the law. There is no medicine. All there is procedure now. And I just want to take a quick shout out. Everyone who asked for universal health care or a wall, you guys are douchebags. Thanks a fucking lot, man. Because this is what universal medicine looks like. It's a procedure. It's a government procedure that's now installed. And anyone in the healthcare industry is only going to be called and feel like they're compassionate if they're following procedure. Keep in mind that we made our kids go burn down oil fields in Iraq. And then we insisted that they were heroes as they're walking through the airport. We insisted on buying their meals. We insisted on saying, you guys are the heroes. Why? Because they were following procedure. They weren't being human, were they? They were following procedure. What are nurses and doctors doing right now?
Following procedure.
They're following procedure.
That's what it's been for 8-9 years now. I mean,
and right now, it's shameful to insult or question doctors and nurses. When I do that on Facebook, my friends push back. Hey, man, come on. That's a nurse you're talking to. And it's like, no, I'm not talking to a nurse. I'm talking to a procedure follower. That's who I'm talking to right now. And I just want to give a shout out to Journey. You're one of the nurses that's like, fuck this, man. This is nuts. And there are more of you, I know. In fact, I also need to give a shout out to women because, to be quite frank, I've been calling for men to stand up, and mostly it's women. Mostly it's women. And let me tell you something, guys. These women are waiting for you, man. They are not going to call you toxically masculine for growing a fucking set right now. It's going to be exactly the opposite. They are waiting for you to come up and take their pace and take it farther, to stretch it out even farther. And that's what you guys need to do, man. No one's going to give you permission to be a man. It you've been and keep in mind, you've been gelded on purpose. You've been gelded to make this chemically expensive to stand up right now. This is all about toxic masculinity, racism, sexism, all of it. All of it is to make your ass sit down right now in the chair and wear skinny ass jeans and pretend like you're basically a long child, just a child that's just longer. That's what they bred you to be. So you have to fight that, man. You got to push past that. Let these women see what men are. They want that, man. They freaking want that. They're on point right now.
Men have been. You're right about that. And that's been one of my pet peeve topics that I've never really spoken out about is masculinity. I watch a lot of that stuff. I was red pilled before there was a red pill. It the death of masculinity is the only reason why we are even in this. Honestly, I mean, if men would do what men are designed to do, which is stand up and protect, we wouldn't be in this situation. I mean, it's not. People are so far swung to the feminine side of the brain that it's just so much defense and care that there's no vigilance. So everybody's worried about, oh well, your loved ones are gonna get sick and die. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? Memento mori. You are going to die at some point in your life. You're gonna die. Everybody dies. No one gets out of this alive. Okay, so to sit there and say, well, people are dying. People are always dying. 2% of the population is always dying, okay? You cannot stop that. You cannot do anything. It just happens. We live on a cycle. The flesh suits live on a cycle, and then we go away, we come back, and we want whatever, however you want to look at it. We need to just kind of stand up as men and realize our power is to just say, hey, wait a second, what's up? You ain't, I'm not going to look my kid in the face and say, well, guess what? There's going to be no baseball anymore. You're never going to go on a date. You're never going to get laid. You're going to be living in fear and in an apartment for the rest of your life and having to get shots to go outside. You're going to need permission from the government to go visit somebody. Like, who wants to live like that? Okay? Nobody wants to live like. If you can look at your children and tell them that's the world you want them to live in, then by all means, turn a blind eye to what's going on now. And just sit down and chastise people who are questioning, because that's where this will go if we don't transmute. If we sit back and don't tell people, hey, let's take a second look at this. And the government's Trump and all these, they're gonna just keep doing their agenda, but it's a pressure test. And like I said, the only thing we can do is just speak out. They know we're having this conversation right now. They know people are watching. Okay, doesn't mean that people are going to show up at our houses and come after us, but it means they're going to look at it like, okay, well, those guys are, the people are, more and more people are seeing it. They're going to slow their roll a little bit and then reassess, and that's all tactically we can hope for at this point. When if that point happens, then we can, we get the courts back open and stuff like that. Then we can take some more actions. But for right now, we just need more people to not be scared. Is really what it comes down to. Don't be terrified. You're going to die at some point anyway, okay? I'm not saying go out there and be a dumbass about it, because I've walked away from death more times than most people, and it's not something you want to trifle with. Mortality, a sense of mortality is a tough thing. It's hard to live with, and when you get used to it, you're a different person. So at some point...
Let's take it up a notch, man. Let's take it up a notch. You're already dead. All of you listening, you're already dead. And what you have right now is the chance to write your eulogy. Like, from right now on, all of your time is spent on your living eulogy. It's a eulogy of movement. It's a eulogy of ballet with your body, with your words, with your writing, with your pictures, with your hair, with the same shirt you wear all the time. Whatever it is, man, all of this is your eulogy. And if some of you men are out there and you're looking for, how can I really wake the fuck up, James? I'm about to tell you something that's creepy as hell, all right? This is creepy. And this is where a lot of the people are going to come in and say, oh my God, he's Lucifer, Satan, he's evil. But this is a ritual, right? Plant yourself like a seed. Seriously, if you live at the beach, if you live in the forest, dig yourself a hole. Put yourself in that hole, man, and cover yourself with dirt. Do it naked, man. Take all your clothes off and do it naked. Cover yourself with dirt and imagine that you've just died, and imagine that you're a seed, and gestate there for a while. If you do it for a while, what you're doing is you're sacrificing time and space in that moment. And for the rest of your life, you're going to be giggling as you're walking through the mall. You'd be like, man, I fucking took off all my clothes. I dug a hole. I put myself in the hole, covering myself with dirt. And no one else here has done that. Like, I'm the only dude that did that. And you're going to find that that is a striving, that is a sprouting, it's a cracking of the husk that allows you to grow and change from that point on. It allows you to drop a deep, deep, thick ass root as deep as you can in the soil. And the deeper you've got that root in the ground, the bigger your tree's going to be, man. It's going to be huge. It's I was talking again to Benjamin today about the Titans. You know, we've been like, how do we wake up the Titans? And it hit me when Joe and I are talking. We are a Titan. When the right people are listening, we are a Titan. All of our tribes are Titans. If you want to awaken the giant, all you have to do is connect to humanity. And what is humanity but a tribe? And what is a tribe but something that's gathered around a campfire? Not an electric grid, not a centralized distribution point of Plinko where you fucking send your cash up and magic fiat currency with one eye's come pouring down. You got to, whoever catches the most wins. I'm talking about real life soil fire, like in person. And this is how you awaken the giant. This is how you awaken the Titans, man. It's each of you. It's not going to be my tribe or Joe's tribe, or it doesn't work that way. We can't afford to have one big tribe. The tribe will suck. We will lose ourselves in credentialing. All right, check this out. I'm a veteran. I was in the Navy. I was a terrible veteran. Don't get me wrong. I never advanced. I stayed in E3 the whole time. But the point is that I'm a veteran. It was during wartime. I earned that. I can't go to a base and say, I would like to get in. I'm a veteran. They don't recognize me as a veteran. This is very important. They recognize credentials as a veteran. Okay, this is so crucial. The Leviathan is too big for one of those people at the gate to see me and go, that's James True. That dude is in my tribe. I'm letting him in. Instead, they're going to only allow the sheet of paper, a laminated sheet of paper with capital letters on it, has more clout than a human being does inside this machine. And that's what we're not going to have with tribe. These campfires, these smaller groups, they're going to have to be as small as the number of people can fit around a campfire. It's going to have to be as small as whoever is watching the gate knows credentials through empathic connection of the face. Through seeing the face, there are credentials. That's human. That's the antithesis of the machine. This is why United States has to be large. The Leviathan only works when the zeitgeist is screaming 24/7. It's that screaming that makes it harder for you to break free and to create your own tribe. That's what this is all about right now, is bringing humanity back. Humanity is not a virus. That is the mantra, at least for my tribe. That is our mantra right now, and it's freaking working. It's working because together we are the Titans. Together we are the giants, man.
Well, let's not go as far as giants. I'm from New York, okay? We want to win a fucking ball game. Titans, I can remember them, so let's stick with that.
All right, fine.
Yeah, all right. But I'm right there with you, man. The humanity is not a virus is the best thing I've heard pretty much ever. And I don't know. Part of self-discovery is your name and who you are, and understanding your own power and what you can do. And everything you've just said, I want to say for the audience, it sounds very esoteric and like, how the hell do I do that? Well, you do it by literally doing it, okay? Now, I spent several months on my own in the woods at one point in my life back in the early 90s before the world went completely to hell. I had like a crisis of character and had basically betrayed my own honor and trust and isolated myself in the woods up in the Appalachians with a Jeep and like a couple of basically I went into a couple stores, took out some credit cards, ran them all the way up for camping supplies and ration food, bought a fishing pole and vanished for a few months and just spent a lot of time in the dirt, smelling and eating, and just, you know, no one knew where I was, and that was, I never even saw another human unless I left to go get some other stuff, which I think happened like 2 or 3 times. And then eventually I ran out of, it got cold and I vacated and ran out of gas, and some of my friends found me, kicked my ass, and took me in. But, during that time, you change, you develop this sense of self or survival mechanism that um, people are terrified, like most people have never had to like fight to survive or had anybody actually try to harm them or something try to harm them. So when their cage is rattled easily by the TV, whereas, if you've been shot at, stabbed, beaten, robbed, raped, mugged, attacked by dogs and coyotes, and I could go on for a long time, fucking TV just doesn't scare me anymore. And it just doesn't, like, okay, maybe if there is a pandemic, I'm going to take care of my family because I have created a tribe. Like I rooted myself so much that after that time, I spent some more time growing as a person. But when I finally was able to get over all the childhood trauma that we all go through, I'm not trying to claim victimhood status that my parents are bad. I have wonderful, loving parents that I love to death. That I have had to question some of the things they've done as a parent myself because times are different and things like that, but never in a bad aspect. Just like, okay, so my parents did this and it did this, and this was the outcome. So you learn from everybody's experiences, and then you get to this point where you're finally able to see your way to having a tribe, and it's really hard to do that because people are so disconnected these days. I have people that are so encouraged to just go out and hoard it up, and the more you hoard it up, the less ability of a pair bond you have, and you're never going to have a strong tribe, from your own root, from your own seed with another person if both of you have already spread yourselves so thin. So luckily I was able to dodge around that, and look what happened. I had two identical twins at 42 years old. So the Ingenito tree, which was basically rotted, was done. And I'm just like, no, there's not a lot of people left in my family. It's got two new men out there, or well, they will anyway. They're little maniacs right now, but that's it. You grow your tribe from there. And then the other thing that I in my life have excelled at is bringing people together. There are so many groups of friends and families that have met through me that are we may have drifted apart. Or maybe we don't talk to each other at all anymore. But these people are all best friends. Some of them are married couples now. So that's how you build a tribe. You talk to people, you treat people right, and then you just bring people, introduce people. Hey, this is my friend James. This is my friend, Anthony. Like, okay, we're all, then now we're friends. Now we become tribe. Like, I've noticed just commenting on the feeds and stuff and being your friend on Facebook, the people that are starting to, get in here, friend requesting, talking, the tribe is growing. And this is more people that, whether we agree on anything or not, we're all starting to see through something, gives us a commonality, and that's how it grows, and that's really what it's about, right? I mean, you want to build a connection.
Well, people only feel alone because everybody's living in houses right now.
Right.
Like, for real. If we didn't have, I'm not saying everyone shouldn't have a house, but it's just simple fact. Your electromagnetic field is going to be limited in some way by the house you're in, and therefore you're not going to really connect to the trees. And those trees, that's an underground network. That's like, touching a wire that goes all across the world when you're touching the dirt. And we've been elevated off the dirt, and we've been put into walls, so we don't really understand the connection. In fact, this 6-foot rule that putting into effect is another attack on our electrical field. It's they know that isolation, guys, is a Geneva Convention form of torture. It's this isn't, it's just because they sprinkle dog shit with glitter doesn't mean that it's going to be wonderful. And that's all they're doing by calling it quarantine, man. That's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. They're attacking your electrical field. It's a kind of a new revelation for me, but this has all been a massive attack on our immune system. That's really what's been happening. That's why there's over 110 autoimmune disorders right now ever since we electrified the place, ever since we put up electrical wires. What I see happening is these people have known the immune system is an electrical field. I can attack that, and whoever owns their immune system is going to own humanity, because that really, That's, we think that people are competing for our eyeballs or for our cell phone bill or for our cable bill or for our rent or our mortgage. No, dude. There are people that want your immune system. They want to sell you that service. And when you're in need of an immune system, it's no longer, oh, I believe in this company over that company. That you're turning that into a religion. Your entire life will come from a corporation when they have your immune system. And that means you're going to have to worship them to get service. You're going to have to pay directly with what I've always been talking about, which is plasma or prana. Now, here's where everyone freaks out. Oh my God, he's a new ager talking about prana. No, there's nothing new age about prana. It's the oldest world in the world. In Greek, it was called parthenia. It's so ridiculous to call that new age. If we don't have a physical word, this is why language doesn't have a word for plasma, for human plasma. It's because if it did, we'd be talking about it. But if we don't have a word for it, then no one's going to talk about it. It's truly that simple.
The prana concept is completely solid, and when people can really understand it, it's a visible spectrum almost in a
Yeah.
way. You can see when somebody is absorbing prana from another, even through the internet. It's so easy to do. That's why people. You could frame it as attention. You could do a lot. There's a lot of different things. I mean, one thing, let's go back to masculinity for a second. So one thing I'll say is that, let's take the prana example and apply it to this. I learned through being an adult male that there is an attention economy when it comes to dealing with the opposite sex. That whereas a man, we kind of need respect. You know what I mean? We need to, in order to feel complete in our masculinity, we need to have validity and respect. Women need to always understand that we appreciate and love them. So a lot of the big trap that a lot of men fall into, which fucks up their whole relationship, is that they stop paying attention, that they get used to and comfortable the situation, and they just don't. Women have that attention economy. So if you're not giving them what they deserve for what they're doing in the form of attention, then you're fucking the whole operation up. Doesn't have anything to do with money. Doesn't have anything to do. If you're not giving her the attention that she deserves for putting the work into your relationship, then some other motherfucker is gonna. That's the bottom line. So it's the same thing. It's the prana. If you're in a if you're not giving the prana to your mate, then you can't expect them to give it back to you. So it's different. Like I'm giving you prana by coming on your show and always being like, man, I love your work, things like that. We have an emotional exchange. You validate me as a person to talk to by bringing me on. I'm nobody. I'm not a fucking doctor or anything. You know what I mean? But here I am talking with you. People are listening, and I get to voice my opinion. So that's great. That's a complete even exchange, and we have a friendship out of it as a result. I mean, that is there any more of a real life example of prana economy than that? I mean,
Well, I think if we weren't gutted from ego, the attention that you would give anyone would be much easier. It'd be much generous. We'd have more energy to be generous, and it actually wouldn't even be considered generous. What we have is a fetish economy for attention. It's if growing up, if someone was to choke me every day, I would actually develop a fetish for breathing. It would be a fetish that I would develop because of the constriction of it. And what we have is by gutting everybody of ego, we have developed a fetish for attention. And that's why we compete for it in sometimes really shitty ways. That's why you've got the flogging parades, where people are out, flogging themselves in public going, no, 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 I'm more racist than you are. It's like, oh, yeah, well, not only am I racist, but I love sodomy. It's like, oh, well, okay, well, I'll see your racism and your sodomy and I'll raise it. I'll have a dirty carbon footprint, and then it's just this constant struggle of just like, no, 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 I want it worse, man. And someone wins. This is all about the quickening. Zionism is the quickening. People don't realize just how basic that is, but it's a giant game of Highlander, because when Zionism is installed inside of you, what's installed is there is evil inside of you. It's literally germ theory for the psyche, right? Because it tells you, Joe, you are, and I don't mean this, Joe, I just need to use an example, but it's like, Joe, you are a sinner. You are an ignoramus. You are a toxic, masculine, sexist, prejudicial, blah, blah, blah. That's me using germ theory to inject a fault a disease inside of you, inside your electrical system. And the whole time you're being rewarded for it. Hey, you look really nice. Let's go look at the dead crucified guy, and let's have a nice lunch after it. You're conditioned into making that part of your normal routine. So the shame protocol always happens. Guys, straight up, think about it. How does it feel to walk into a church and sit down in front of a three-dimensional painting of a guy that's been gutted and left alone to hang there on nails on a cross? Is that a good feeling? Or is it more of a guilt feeling or a shame feeling or a sense of awe of nothing about me matters at all. The only thing that matters is this person. Now that word, let's call that word selfless, okay? Let's start rewarding that word selfless. Let's start giving prana cookies to whoever is the most selfless among us. What is that going to do to society as a whole?
And the trash it.
Right?
And that's the failure of what's become of Christ's teachings. I mean, I know they're gonna count me like I'm a devil now, but I'm an unabashed deist who loves Christ. So I don't use belief. So when you take the belief, Son of God, all that stuff, and throw it out the window, you're left with the Good Samaritan and the Golden Rule, and nothing is more beautiful than that. So people always forget, and Christians are gonna come at us, but it is Christians. I love you, but you're all sinners. Okay? You live in a world of usury. Christ kicked those guys' asses and threw them out of the temple for exchanging money. So if we live in a system where people make money on money, you got a mortgage, you got a 401k, guess what? You're involved in usury. So this whole idea that this country that we've morphed into is this Judeo-Christian thing. Well, that word makes no sense to begin with. And then you have this projection that we are acting Christly. Now, we care about each other. We're vacated, but we all have this, humanity would want to come together if we weren't being hollowed out. So there has to be the constant stream of hollowing people out. And that's why we say, ground yourself, get yourself in the dirt, get into yourself. I like to exercise by looking at a picture of my younger self saying, what would you say to this kid? What would you, get yourself grounded? How would you look at this kid and what he went through? Look at his face, look at her face, and tell her she's not going to be able to play baseball. She's not, she's never going to date a boy. He's never going to go ride his bike up and down the street and crash into a wall like a maniac because he's living in a panopticon. I mean, we're old enough to remember this, and we're the last ones. So it's up to us if we're going to hold anything back at all, instill any kind of value going forward. We have to root ourselves now and look at ourselves as our children and just be like, wake the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, you forgot who you were. You were stripped of, right from the moment you popped out, they cut your dick off and they stabbed you full of shit. And then, made your parents go to work full time so they can afford to feed you the shit food. Like, that's our lives. And if you were lucky if you had both parents there even, that's how hollowed out we are. And then, the nonstop barrage of shit people go through their whole lives, even after they get married, and all this, the nonstop sexual overtones into everything is just, it's total mind control on men because we're hardwired to, so
let's take the usury up one notch. I'm not trying to create like a catchphrase there, but seriously, let's take that usury up a step, because not only is there usury with fiat currency, but you actually have spiritual usury now. You've been promised, you've been said, look, you're really bad. God's probably not gonna want you in there. But if you do everything right, if you pay this mortgage through life, then in the end, we will give you salvation. That is a spiritual usury. Basically, you're born and placed into a pit, and you're saying, hey, look, you're in darkness. It's the whole world is sin. You were born a sinner, but we offering you a chance out. It's a lifelong quest, but you can get out of the pit, and all you got to do is, we're gonna throw things down the basket. You got to do whatever's in the basket, put it back up. You keep doing that, you'll eventually, put the lotion on, whatever it's gonna be. It's that's why so many people are obsessed with two things: enlightenment an ascension. The only people who are going to want light is someone who's in darkness, which means you have to cast someone in darkness first. The only way someone's going to want ascension is if they're placed into a pit. This whole pit, the demon pit that you guys keep hearing about, is a real life black magic place that's been created and psychically infused in everyone's mind. So we know that. And we cast evil things into that pit. We're under the impression that there is an evil creature that lives there because we've been conditioned so long into believing that. Therefore, we take all our self-hatred that we've been told you're supposed to find that sin, you repent. Oh God, someone was telling me that after Richie's show, just over and over, repent, repent. That's literally someone having permission in public to call someone else evil. But there's like this cloak of protection around them because, no, I'm not, I didn't call him evil. I just said he needed to repent. And what comes with that is this subterranean feeling of, oh my God, it's no different than wearing a surgical mask and saying, you're poison. Everyone around me is poison, but me. It's vampirism is what it is. It's spiritual vampirism. And we're robbing each other of our own electrical field with this kind of stuff. It's usury. It's basically usury. Living motivational usury on an energetic level, like an electrical level even. In fact, it's all electrical if you think about it. It's just that we're seeing the effects of it in the real world through spiritual usury, through mortgage usury, through money usury, through job usury. That's another one. Oh, you want to be a doctor? Well, let's instead of practicing medicine, let's go ahead and stretch that out 15 years. You know, let's do all this first. And then if you keep going, then, you know, you'll eventually get it. So by the time you get it, what do you have but a fetish for your own white coat? You've developed that own kind of system where you're now addicted to the very thing that you wanted because it was constricted from you for so long. It's a self-fulfilling addiction that we're installing in every single person. And it always starts with, well, first you start with a crater. Turn that man into a crater, and that's all you need to do. Everything else will form as a result.
When you finally climb out of the crater and you look around and you get yourself grounded and you see yourself for who you are, already got to get your pie out of the oven.
I'm going to turn off. Keep talking. I'm going to grab my cell phone and turn it on airplane mode. Okay. Sorry about that.
Cool. No problem. Yeah. All right. Hey, everybody. It's the Joe Show. All right. What the heck was I talking about? I forgot. Something about pie. Usury.
Yeah, you know, if I loan you a pie today, I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a pie today. So.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. So I wanted to reflect upon a moment that and you're a part of it because your book was Blueprints of Mind Control was probably the final nail in the coffin of me getting out of the pit and realizing that I wasn't broken. That despite everything I grew up, and I'm not going to get into it here, but I've confided in some people stuff that went on in my childhood, and I've never, I don't feel victimized by it, but growing up, it made me feel broken, and it made me feel like I couldn't connect with people in a lot of ways. And despite the fact that I wasn't an unpopular or a stupid kid, I was able to only make relationships with other people that were broken or having issues of their own, and it stymied me for a long time from being able to actually have any kind of relationship beyond friendship. So when I finally realized that stepping out of it all, and that all the stuff that had been pushed upon my shoulders all those years, and all the shit everybody said was a complete lie. I just got out of my own way and made life my bitch. Like, I stopped thinking I couldn't do things, that I was a high school dropout, that I was a college dropout, because I still am. I mean, I got a technical degree, and guess what? I work around people that have PhDs and doctorates, and when I say I'm a high school dropout, they're like, what? Like, okay. If life is your teacher, if you break yourself out of the mold, then you can say, okay, is that true? Is that real about something? Then it gives you the whole a whole gamut. And people will say, I get attacked shamed by people, and you know what? I'm completely freaking anti-fragile. I don't have shame for you to attack. I'm just being me. And if you know me, I've always just been me. And now that I'm not clouded by this, I'm just not. You can't say, oh, you should keep your opinion to your. No, it's not. I'm not going to keep my opinion. I care about you. I love you. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. I'll admit I could be completely wrong about anything. And you know what? I'm happy to be wrong. A lot of times I tend to err on the side of caution, being I'm a security person. I deal with risk analysis and critical situation management and crisis management all the time. So this is my frame of reference is always to say no to things that are going to possibly have a risk. So, you know, I'm not sitting here talking and saying this stuff because I am uneducated about how people operate or systems operate. You know, it's what I do. I got to this point in my life by being actually able to understand it and communicate this stuff, not because somebody gave me any credentials, because the credentials I do have are long expired, and I'm still in the game and actively pursued commodities. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I noticed real quick, credentials were not only a crutch, they actually were kind of a problem. It created a different field state in the person that has them. I began my attack on experts a long time ago. I started noticing that expert is a state of congealing. Someone has congealed into an expert, and when you do that, it's like a pedestal. You placed yourself, or someone else has placed you on a pedestal, and now you're no longer participating. You're instead distributing the sacrament. It's a very different sort of act that you get into. In fact, you're not allowed to not have an answer. If you don't have an answer, you're still an expert, but you're not as good as this other expert. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that we put on each other. That's why people can't fathom, well, James, there's no way that you're as smart as a doctor. They say that all the time. And I'm constantly, and I understand why they're saying that, but they don't. What they don't get is that I would never have been able to become a doctor because I could not have withstood the pedestal that long. I've learned what the pedestal was early on. Joe, like you, like me, had childhoods where we were able to see the panther sooner. We were able to understand that, dude, there's a fucking Black Panther right there. Like, as you were eating dinner, I just saw him cross. And we both grew up where everyone else is like, no, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And yeah, and I think that that's a gift that we have. And I know we're not alone here, but all of us have seen the predator sooner. If you're listening to this channel, you've seen the predator sooner. You're no longer in a position where you're able to pretend like it's not there. The serotonin, you know, your eyes are your main generator of serotonin. And when you see something that you don't want to see, that serotonin will be like, no, fuck that. All right, and your body is physically not able to experience the chemicals that are required for you to see this predator. It's just too not cool, man. It's so not cool that you're just like, how can I explain this away? How can I explain this away? And those of us who have met the predator face to face have a special gift. That gift is pain. And that pain is what's able to allow us to see the predator. And even though we've been living in worlds where everyone calls us crazy, we end up then having to cope not with the predator, but with the dissonance around us. And guess what? That is a form of self-soothing. We actually focus, check this out. We actually use everyone else denying what the predator sees. We actually use that as a comfort to not face the predator ourselves. And that's where you look at any kind of psychotic drugs, any kind of therapy programs that are going on. The fact that we take all of our quote, quote, crazy people and put them in the same building and jack them up with Thorazine or whatever else. It shows you that this is society denying, or it's society in denial of itself in the same kind of way. And it's just simply too much weight for those of us who have seen the predator. It's just too heavy. And that's why what's happening right now is so important. Definitely things are bad. Like I think we're in a crosshairs right now of a giant Masonic ritual. But at the same time, at the exact same time, all the predators are out. And it's freaking impossible for so many people to keep ignoring it now. In fact, more are coming into our camp going, you don't know me, but there's a fucking panther. And they're like, I know, totally. Yeah. Hey, go into the panther tent. We have a welcome bag for you, you know, and you're like walking in. Hi, I see the panther. Oh, another guy sees the panther. Right on. You know, tell us about the panthers. Like, fucker bit my ass. Look at this. And it's like, we are instantly bonded by this panther. We are bonded by the predator. And we need to use that to our advantage. That's what's happening right now. And it's going to be easier for other people to recognize the panther without having to go through the same pain that we've had to go through. Not to mention that everyone that comes to us, anyone that comes to us and say, hey, James, I never told you that there was a predator when you were growing up, but I just want you to know I see it now. That's like a cake, that a trauma cake that's been in the oven for like 35 years, that's always been something that bothered you. And when someone else sees that and gives you the validity, that's like a magic gift. They've turned all that pain, that 35 years of pain or whatever, and they've now validated it. They brought it out into the sunlight. And those people, the ones that are validated right now, those are the fucking giants. Those are the ones that are going to raise up, man, like a sprout, because all of a sudden, all that work paid off. All that pain has now been alchemized or transmuted into something positive. Sorry to keep going, Joe. I
Oh,
do.
good, man. I'm right there with you. I was going to say, like, the people that when that happens, and it has happened, I'm sure it's happened to you. It's happened to me several times. That prana that you get from that person, you can use that prana and transmute it into anti-fragility. Okay, now that's how you really anti-fragility is the phrase of the day. Okay, doesn't mean that you are unbreakable or a juggernaut, because only I am. Okay, don't try to be me. But being anti-fragile means that the dumb shit isn't going to rattle your cage. Okay. Now it's really hard to. I can sit here and say this because I'm a juggernaut. For other people to, they're nervous, they're shaking. Okay, you're not alone. Everybody, we're all in it together. All right. I am not going to stand by and watch you suffer any more than you are going to stand by and watch me suffer. That is not why we're doing this. We're not trying to propagate a virus and destroy humanity. I feel every bit of pain from every single person that expresses it to me. Whenever somebody is at a loss, and even when I hear people talking about friends and family suffering from COVID, for example, I feel that. I feel for them, and I don't give them any shit, or I don't say, oh, it's like, listen, there's like, I don't want anybody to suffer. That's the whole point of doing all this, is that human suffering, that part of it needs to end. We need to break the fucking cycle of violence. I mean, stop with the, you know, I broke the cycle when I didn't chop my kids' dicks off. To me, that was like, okay, I'm ending that cycle. Okay, my parents, they didn't do it maliciously. They just, going
Yeah.
with the flow, just like everybody else. But you know what? I know what it is, because I know that growing up, and I'm just gonna say whatever old guys goes through our heads when you have it is, what, when you realize that you've been chopped up, like, okay, what would it have been? Am I inadequate in some way? You're afraid to show it. Am I small because of this? Like, these are all the things that go through your head. And then you have your female friends and family telling you, oh, I changed your diapers and blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, you feel this, that's a constant putting you down, putting you in your place for having a penis. Basically, like, flip that script around in America and try to tell me that it would fly. Okay, like, we would start hacking off labias and telling women that they should be proud of the fact that they're gelded and they can no longer enjoy anything, because it's not something that it's done for ritualistic purposes, and it's not something that's beneficial in any way. It's all a big fucking lie. It's just, it makes things harder for the guy in a lot of ways. It makes sex more uncomfortable for the female when there isn't one that exists. So break that cycle, stop that cycle right there.
As rituals are ingrained in history, they firm up like cement. And anything that has the word procedure in it is actually just a ritual. It's an old school hacking ritual that's still there. And the language around so much of our healthcare really does show you the predator, just how close it is. The insanity, the things that we're calling reproductive services is mutilation. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
that's all it is, the mutilation. Circumcision is mutilation. It's not circumcision. It's just it's, in fact, you're born in a hospital where you actually have to look really closely and make sure that no one's going to mutilate your child. Like it's not like a default or something, that it's like, seriously, it's that's fucked up. We should not be wandering around through hospitals where we're worried that we might accidentally check a box wrong and
Yeah.
something will get mutilated. If that doesn't show you that something deeper is happening, then none of the other stuff will. It's the same thing with, we're calling immunity. Take pig parts and inject them inside of this person's skin. That equals immunity. It's every single word is as back ass words as you could possibly imagine, and that is part of the blatant camouflage. What I mean by that is that the predator is just so close that you can't process it. Seriously, you can't. An owl, I've said this before, but a great horned owl, the safest place you could be
in front of
is,
them.
is right in front of him, because he won't process what's right in front of him. It's too much for him. But if you're like 2 inches away, that fucker will bite you bad.
That's how Riddick defeated those aliens. Pitch Black too. Remember, he got right up in its face.
Yeah, you're right. Pitch Black, good example of that. It's all, this is how it works. And I think it has some more to do with our retinas personally. I'm not a scientist, but it's because of all that dopamine is processed there. I think it's just there's only so much that your adrenals can take, especially when we've been gelded for so long.
Yeah.
Because we've been taught to hate fear. Some of us in this room are actually under the impression that fear is bad, that fear is somehow not a good thing.
It's reaction.
But fear is adrenaline. And when you're under fear, you have 20/20 vision. When you're under fear, you are seeing 70 frames per second instead of 40 frames per second. When you're under fear, you have adrenaline pumping in every single vessel, where all your fast switch muscles are ready to fucking go. It's that's what fear is. Fear is power. Fear is pure raw Scotty saying, "Hey, Captain, everything's on. We're fucking ready, man. Everyone's in general quarters. Everyone's got their seatbelts on. Our crash helmets are on. We are with you, dude. We are ready to go." And we've been taught to go, "Oh, I'm afraid. I can't handle this." You fucking dump the whole warp core. That's what we're taught, and that's what panic is. And literally, what is panic but a shaking?
Yeah.
What is that oscillation but a shaking off
Not
of
the
all that charge? It's just shaking off the charge, the electronic charge.
I'm not afraid to admit that I became addicted to that feeling that you get when you become afraid, right? To the point of where it's no longer the same thing for me. That I can reach back and just visualize things that put me in that state and just conjure up the adrenaline surge and go accomplish amazing fucking things. Like whether it's a kind of a scary thing to admit, but I mean, to me, it's just harnessing what the tools I've been given. Like I know that when I've been under a lot of extremely stressful situations, like something is trying to hurt me. I mean, I've been attacked by a couple of coyotes, a dog,
Yeah.
lots of people. I've been shot at a few times. So like when you're in that state, fucking world slows down. I've only been in one real, I'd say straight up fist fight. A guy punched me in the side of the head when I wasn't looking, and it was like, ow. And then people can relate. Like I saw blood, and then it was like the world went into slow motion. Like dismantled this guy like some kind of fucking ninja master, and I've never even been in a fight. Like I'm bleeding everywhere. But like that's when you get to that point, you get afraid. Like I was in a car accident in a snowstorm in New York with 10 cars, and the guy in front of me started fishtailing. He lost control of his SUV and slammed my car into a guardrail. I'm perpendicular between this truck and the guardrail on the Taconic Parkway. Anybody knows? And then this car is coming down the hill, sliding in the ice, just coming right at me. I mean, you're just sitting there on, watching this happen in slow motion. Like, I'm gonna fucking die. So I'm seatbelt off. Like you're in slow motion. I actually literally like dodged the car. Like if you look at the pictures of that car on my Facebook, you'll see the driver door was pretty much all the way over to the side of the seat. I walked away from that bitch. Okay, like I got up out of that car. I mean, my head was ringing and I had some bad bruises and stuff, but nothing broke. Like you can harness that adrenaline, that slow motion. That is something that you can use to your advantage if you can understand it, and you can take that shit and make it into iocane powder, like in The Princess Bride, where he defeats Vizzini just feeds him the iocane powder to both classes, and then because the one guy he's like immune to it, doesn't affect him, right? So that's the thing. I could give you a poison and it's not going to affect me because I'm used to it. So you have to build up that kind of an immunity to this kind of shit. So when the TV is feeding you, oh, this, that, the other thing, and your people are taking videos of things, that's all meant to for one thing. If they're loading bodies in a truck in broad daylight, in a panopticon, the intention may be for them to have that get around. Okay, you don't know what's in those wraps. You don't know who those people are, or what they're doing, or where that truck is, or where it's going and what they're doing. I mean, they're publishing articles about digging mass graves and stuff, and yet we still haven't. We know how they're categorizing people. We're not reaching any kind of excess mortality rate. 2% of the population is always dying. So I mean, yeah, we need to make sure that doesn't spread, but we also need to make sure what the fuck it really is. So, and if it's government bullshit, we need to make sure it doesn't spread.
Yeah. Well,
So,
if you're afraid of fear, then the moment it comes, your first job's going to be, how do I dispel this energy? How do I lose this energy that's inside of me as fast as you can? And when that's done every day, the moment that you actually do encounter real fear, most of us are going to not know how to wield it. It's like a sword, and if you're not swinging the sword every day, you're not going to know how to swing it. That's why men are gelded, because they're fucking dangerous when they know how to use fear. If men know how to use fear, man, you better watch the fuck out. There's no longer just predators now. Now there's a bunch of jaguars. There's jaguars and panthers at that
there's
point.
nothing more dangerous on this planet than a fucking human man. Okay,
Yep.
except for the human female, but only to us. There's some people are like, you go out walking in the woods, or, oh, aren't you afraid of snakes? And then, no. The snakes are afraid of me.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Everything's afraid of us. We're not, you don't walk down the street and, if something attacks you, it's out of fear. Okay, I've had animals attack me because they're afraid, not because I register as a meal on their radar.
That's why a lot of people don't like it when I say this, and it kind of just makes me say it more. But I don't think we truly understand what we're supposed to be like naturally. And men are supposed to intimidate each other. A young boy is, when a man comes in, he's supposed to be like, well, shit, that guy's really big, because that he's giving him an opportunity to have fear. He's giving the kid an opportunity that the kid can't just go out and all of a sudden just be that afraid or be that intimidated. He needs someone around. He needs humanity around him to come in and just kind of get up in his grill a little bit. Now, if that boy is confident, if he hasn't been gelded, he's going to see that opportunity enough, and he's going to rise to the power. He's going to claim all that adrenaline in his body, and it's going to become his new natural state. What I mean by that is that the next time that man comes in, he doesn't feel intimidated. He just feels taller.
He feels uplifted.
All he does is just feel taller. And as we are taller, we make each other taller. This is the Titans, man. This is how you raise Titans. This is how you raise it, man, from a tribe. And that's why the women pick their men, because they pick them to who can be the tallest, who can have this energy the most, which out of all of us will not be intimidated when all these men show up in the same room. It's an exercise in heightening. And that's why, man, you need to stop worrying about being liked. Seriously, this whole nice game is why things are so bad right now.
Can't afford not to your sisters, brothers, mothers, cousins. You can't afford to be nice. And you know what? They don't need you to be nice now either. They need you to be
a mountain.
Put your fucking fist down and say, you know what? I'm not gonna fucking let your future go into the fucking toilet without absolute fucking proof that this is the way things have to be. Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, there's always a way. We're humanity. We've always fucking figured out a way. That's what we do. Okay. So don't tell me that we all need to go into these fucking things, that whatever. I mean, if you want to force feed us that we have to have these vaccines, whatever, or this whatever system they're trying to shove on us, if they just got the fuck out of the way, we would solve our own problems. And that's the whole crux of the situation. So while everybody's going to start talking again, we're getting all about, everybody voting season and let's all vote. They're going to do something here with this situation to influence the vote and how they want it to feel. It's so staged already. What are we coming down to, Trump and Biden now or some shit? I mean, I pay like no attention. I heard Bernie Sanders dropped out. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, so. I can't even feed that. Like, I hear you, man. I don't even want to feed it because it's just so not real. It's
so garbage. Yeah, don't vote. Until the amount of people standing outside the voting booths saying, give us a real fucking choice, outnumber the people going in to vote, nothing is going to happen. And if we can't take to the streets with guns and do all these things like that. All those people that went out and did all that shit with Antifa and the people that opposed them are just playing that fucking game. You can't bring about the change you want by becoming exactly what it is that you're trying to replace. And if we become violent assholes, even if it's directed in a just manner, we're gonna nothing is gonna change. We're just gonna keep perpetuating the cycle. So until people actually figure out that I can love you and you can love me, and we don't have to fucking agree on everything, and that I'm not responsible for your health and you're not responsible for mine, and that we should, both understand that and respect that, then, we've lost all this. Everybody's completely vacated themselves to, church or a government, or, if there's really a difference, they're kind of both the same thing. So a pedestal, a temple, if you will.
Yep. This is go time right now, and
Yeah.
it's not going to happen on the internet. It's not going to happen making posts about it. It's not going to be happen through memes. This is an actionable time, and I think campfires are a good archetype for that. I think that making it expensive to close down restaurants is a good archetype for that. It's all. This is what I mean by I want men to stop being nice. If we change the culture where men can just be mountains instead of being nice, all this is going to be like a million times harder for them to do. They're not going to, the police chief knows, fuck man, I am not going to close down this store because Joe has a shop in there and that fucker will give me so much shit. Like, it's just that he's going to have the dopamine pushback that's basically telling him in his brain, that is an expensive thing for me to do. For me to shut this whole town down is going to be expensive. In fact, it's so expensive, it's more expensive than having some Fed asshole pissed at me or
Exactly.
cutting off my funding through
Yes.
something else. I'd rather have that than this. And that's why I'm pushing doctors and nurses right now, because I want that to be expensive for them to follow procedure. I don't care if someone calls me a dick right now. There's too much at stake. I want it to be expensive to follow procedures. We have to make it expensive. Otherwise, it's always going to be what they do every single time. And they're going to get rewarded for it. They're going to get a new badge. They're going to get a bigger check. They're going to get a decimal place or another comma or another digit. That's all it takes right now, man. That's all it takes, because it's just so cheap right now to lie. It's so cheap to follow procedure.
That's all we have. And that's not if you think of that as the goal, like, we just have to make it expensive. We don't have to win. We don't have to take to the streets. We just have to not be sheep. We have to just think, okay, where are we at? What are you feeding us? Is this real? Like, just think, and don't worry about, people will like you more for being a mountain than they will for being a sheep.
Yeah.
Okay?
People don't like people because, I'm sorry to jump on this, Joe, but people don't like people because they're nice. I know
Right.
you've been told that. People like people because they're consistent.
Mhm.
This is why you have these things like, oh, he's an old curmudgeon, or, oh, watch out for that one. He's harmless, but watch out for that one. It shows you the truth of this all. This is all about prana economy. It's all about energetic economy. And if Joe's a steady rock at all times, he could be as gruff as he wants. He can have the scowliest face. He could be an ugly motherfucker if he wants. As long as he's consistent, he will be accepted, because that's how your reptilian brain works. It's looking to save calories at all points in time. We have to change what is acceptable around us. The hardest way to change that is after you've already established a prana economy that you're always a nice guy. It's going to be harder to do. It's no different than breaking a chain. Once you weaken the chain, then it becomes easy. This is part of the weakening of the chain process. Right now is the time for sacrifice. What I mean by that is you have to sacrifice people liking you. I have to sacrifice old high school friends that I know are just fucking hating me because I just keep hammering them over and over and over again. It's all these things right now require sacrifice. I'm talking about real sacrifice. I'm not talking about I'm going to take someone else's life. That's homicide, painted at sacrifice. I'm talking about you sacrificing your energy, your time, your attention, your belief. This is why I call it belief plasma. It's your attention is belief plasma. And no matter what, it's going to go somewhere. If you weren't giving it all to government, you'd have more for your wife. You'd have more for your kids. You'd have more for anyone else except for this menagerie fucking illusion that we painted all around ourselves, that voting makes everything magically better again. It's no different than a warden coming out saying, hey, I know a way to cut down on prison riots. What's that? Put up a suggestion box. And everyone else is like, well, you gonna read them? No, just put up a suggestion box. I don't have them fucking go in the toilet. I don't care. Put up a suggestion box. And a month later, hey, there's rioting again. Oh, no problem. Put up another suggestion box, but this time over here and paint it red. And then tell everybody, Whoever puts more suggestions in the blue box or the red box, that's what we're going to do. You think that'll work? It'll totally fucking work, man. These guys are Nimrods. It'll completely work. And what do we have now, guys? What do we have now? The only thing they added was one more element, which is, all right, I know how to cut this down. I want you to put peach cobbler above the blue box and cherry jubilee above the red box. And then whatever they vote for, that's what we're going to give them for dinner. That's all it takes. That's it. And it only takes that much because you've been gelded, because you feel like you're toxic, because you feel like you're racist or you're sexist or you're ignorant or you're fucking pond scum.
Or you have too much. That's the other thing.
Hating pond scum, or you're too, yeah, exactly. You have too much privilege, or you're showing prejudice. Prejudice is you choosing a lane in traffic. Prejudice is you saying, I want to put on a shirt today, but they painted that as evil. They even painted that as evil. And this is all part of your electrical system. It's been shorted out. Your ego's been shorted. Every single field in you has been shorted out. And that's why it's so easy to do this. That's why all it takes is a red box or a blue box. It's men. I'm talking to men right now. Dude, look yourself in the eye like I have and say, we are fucking pathetic. We can do so much better than this. I mean, really look at yourself that way. I'm not talking to women. I'm not talking to boys. I'm talking to men. Look yourself in the mirror and say, what the fuck has happened to me, man? I am so much better than this. Because you fucking are. That's all it takes. That's all it takes, man. Just the spears. We just need a few spears to stick up and go, what the fuck's going on? This is now expensive. And when you turn around, there's going to be 17 spears behind you, then 19. You're going to have all those spears now pointing in the same direction. You're not even going to know it. You're not going to feel it. Why? Because other people felt that fear, that intimidation that you gave them, and they rose up to it. And they sat right next to it. And they're like, this is pretty badass, man. I could do this. I can fucking do this. And that's when the women are going to start, they're going to get so moist. They're going to fucking think you were the hottest thing that's ever been around. I'm serious, man. It's going to be like freaking slug trails all over town. They're going to fucking love that. I'm sorry. It's so off color. My point is that they're going to fucking love that. It's going to change everything, man. You got to fucking do it.
They're starving for it. They're starving for it. I mean, all you ever hear, like when you go on the red pill, listen to the red pill guys, Donovan Sharp and all those guys. Just for kicks, while I'm working and stuff, and all you ever hear is they're always complaining, "We're the real men. These men were so controlling." It's like, listen, let's be honest here. Men are, we're here, but we're told constantly not to be who we're supposed to be. So even if you meet a real man, most likely you're meeting his representative. You're not going to get the raw of who he is because he's been shamed out of thinking that who he really is an actual thing. And it goes so far as the psychosis where some men consider themselves like a feminist ally or something. It's like feminism doesn't help anybody, men or women. Like it's not. It's a ideology. It's talk with the opposite sex. Get it. Feel their energy, you know what I mean? And do it from an early age. Don't, I'm not saying go out and date at 15, 16, or whatever. I'm not trying to get into that, but I'm saying like understand each other. And the waters are so muddied by the TV that men and women, we can't bond. But it is a natural thing for a man to lead, okay? I'm not saying women can't lead, okay? Because I've worked with some fucking phenomenal female leaders, okay? And it's some of the most inspirational people in my life. But it's natural for a man to get up. Not everyone, but for the most part, we are the pathfinders and the trailblazers, and they're the ones who keep us going. And that's generally how we have evolved as a species to where the point we are now. We synergistically work together, yin yang. There's so much in this and how we are supposed to be together. When you break that apart, we're all fucked. So I'm right there with you. I can't speak for women because I'm not one. I mean, I can empathize and sympathize with women tremendously, seeing the stuff that they go through and then actually understanding why they're going through it, because of men. So,
if there's an empty man at home, You're going to have a woman that's screaming at traffic saying, you got to get inside. You're supposed to get inside. The quarantine's coming. You're supposed to get inside. That it's not even her fault. That's because there's an empty man at home.
Right.
And the more empty men are at home, the more you're going to see Karens. We're going to have a world full of Karens. If anyone out there is actually named Karen, I'm really sorry that you're getting hit so hard right now. But that archetype of Karen right now is only because there's no men.
Right.
Because men want to be nice, they don't want to intimidate each other, and that's really that's all it takes, man, to fix this. And this isn't about sex. Someone threw up in sex. Well, what? It's not about sex, man. I'm talking about energy. I'm talking about energy. When a woman's attracted to you, dude, you don't want to have sex. Why? You want to keep that. Wow. There is a buzzing that is happening inside you when a woman's attracted to you. And I'll tell you how a family's supposed to work. You can disagree. I don't care. The woman's the tribe leader. She's the tribal mother, man. She's the mother of the tribe. Now she picks a chief. She's got two chiefs. You are her two chiefs. You're a red chief and you're a white chief. All right? White chief's the war chief. Red chief's the war chief. White chief is the peace chief. All right? All the woman gets to decide is which chief she unleashes, which chief she wants to open up in you, okay? She gets to decide that. She gets to tell you, Joe, I need some red chief right now. And she doesn't have to say it. You'll feel it. You'll know that. And when it's red chief time, she knows something. She knows she cannot stop it. There's not a fucking thing she can do about it. When Joe is red chief mode, it's game the fuck on. And she's not going to micromanage you unless you're walking around being nice. Oh, well, honey, do you think I should hit him for insulting you? It's like that kind of shit. It's that skinny jeans shit.
Yeah.
Let her pick. When she picks those chiefs, man, you'll know it. When she wants white chief, you're going to be wise man. You're going to be Walt Whitman. When she picks red chief, you're going to be fucking Wolverine. And that's what a man is, man. A man's an arrow, man. He's going to unleash. And he's going to unleash under what? The pressure of a bow. The pressure of the woman. The woman's gonna aim and go, red chief, you are on, man. It is time to frickin' go. And that's how this is supposed to work. It doesn't work any other way. How do I know this? Because I know what polarity is. I know that just like there are two towers, the first tower is mercy. That's what we're looking at right now. It's called a mercy killing. They call it mercy, but literally it means instant fucking death. The second tower is compassion or comfort. All right? What is a man? He's the first tower. He's instant. He's right on focused. He's laser macular vision. He's not peripheral. He's laser one-on-one, laser pointer at the cat. Cat's running around. That's a male thing, man. He's freaking out because that's a male thing happening. All right. Female, not as tall of a tower, right? A little bit shorter. All about compassion. It's a compassion. And when I'm talking about compassion, a woman will kill out of compassion. She will fucking kill out of that. A man will kill out of mercy. He will just be like, you were ended. That's what it is. These are different energies. And if we keep them charged like this, if we keep one positive and one negative, and if we stop fucking shaming the word negative all the time, God, I'm so sick of that crap. Negative is important. Stop shaming the word negative. All you people that are like, oh, we need to be positive. You literally just need to take a dildo and shove it up your ass and walk around going, we should do this all the time. This feels great.
That your asshole is a negative. So, I mean, there you go.
You're shorting your system out is what you're doing. You're shorting the whole thing out. And you're pretending like it's got to be all this way. You're pretending that a battery works by only touching the positive charge all the time. And you're wondering why it doesn't work. You're wondering, well, how come this doesn't happen? This is how a tribe works. This is how a family battery functions. This is what's dangerous. This is what they've been calling war on for so long. This is an immune system inside of another immune system. The tribe itself is an electrical field of immunity. And inside there, you have a man and a woman and a child. All those are inner electrical systems inside of a larger electrical system. And that family is inside of another tribe. And that tribe is its own electrical system. And that's the thing where everyone has to know everybody. Why? Because credentials have to be empathically human. We can't have written credentials. That's how you fucking write humans off. That's how we lose our humanity. Which means, guess what? Our tribes can't be that big. You know, 19 people and more, you're starting to think, hey, how many more can we have here where we really are a tribe? Like, really, how many more people can we actually fit around this fire? And what's beautiful about that is, what is mitosis? What is mitosis? It's the most beautiful thing that could ever occur. Hey, we've got a big tribe. We have 20 now. We need to start a new tribe. And that's all it takes. And you'll find that there's automatically people that are like, hey, I kind of like this idea. I think I'd like to be over here. And hey, I think I'd like to be over here. And all that DNA it'll just work out. It'll energetically work out. What keeps fucking us up is that we short out the cell and we say, no, 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 we can't split yet. You need 1 million. You need 2 million. You need 7. No, you need 250 million. And then we can talk about getting another country. And now there is no such thing as a man. All there is procedure. All there is zeitgeist. All there is credentials. You have the antithesis of humanity. That's why they run us so big. That's why they've told us that out of 250 million voters, that we get one of two choices. That if you can't see that that's a manipulation, I need you to see it. That's all.
It is.
That is a manipulation.
You have two choices. I mean, and this is the only country in the world where we even pretend that that's the actual thing. I mean, every other fake government has like 15 parties. So,
right, exactly. I know. Israel has 42.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. Italy does like 100. So, I mean, they don't even have, their whole government structure is wackadoo. If one person gets elected and builds the cabinet, like, what the heck?
It's like there's a bunch of babies, and all of them need keys except for us. We need like a piece of plastic, like a soda tab. Like, that's all it takes. It's men, look at yourself in the mirror. Ask yourself what it is we've become. Because the moment you start walking out in public with that feeling is the moment you're electrically making it expensive for anyone to be around you. It's no different than when you see someone in a mask, you could just point and shake your head. Like that, if someone sees that and they're hiding behind a mask like a ninja, a fucking vampire ninja stealing your immunity, and they see you do that, they're gonna go home and think about it all day. They're gonna be like, what the hell, man? That guy, like, what balls? But that, and then the next time they're gonna get there, it's gonna be more expensive. I'm not saying they're gonna stop. I'm saying it's gonna be more expensive. The moment they put the mask on, they're gonna be like, and if enough people do that,
that's it. That's victory. That's victory. That little sliver right there, that little doubt, that little push. It's all you need. Okay. And you don't got to be a fucking asshole. You don't got to get up in somebody's face.
Exactly. No, in fact, don't. It actually will backfire, and then they'll keep wearing it. This is a science of cream pies, right? You gotta throw the perfect cream pie in their face. It can't feel like a rock. It's got to feel like you would cream pie a friend. You're nervous about it. And you're like, I got to throw this just right. You have to do it just right. And that's what this is. This is all an opportunity to learn how to, and this is your energy body. This is not new age, by the way. So fuck off with that. This is your energy body. This is your electrical energy body.
SEO's presentation on New Age. If you think this is New Age, Mark, God bless him. Whoever bless him. Love that guy. Presentation on New Age bullshit will tell you everything you want to know about what's New Age and what's fucking reality here. Look, you said it flat out. The body is made out of, we're piezoelectric creatures. Our brain operates on electricity. Okay, we are affected by energy and electricity. To think that we aren't energetic creatures is stupid. It just doesn't. That's how we operate. Touch an outlet and what happens? Okay, oh wow, it goes all the way up your body. Okay, why? Because we're made out of the same shit. That's how we function. We're electrically charged beings.
When you have goosebumps, literally all that's happening is that you have an electrical alignment under the skin, and all of your poles, all of your blood cells, all of your blood cells are pointing in polarity in a certain point, and that's causing the hairs on your skin and the pores to stick up too. It's an alignment. It's a field. You're an electrical field. That's why sex feels so good. That's why good sex feels so good, because it's an electrical. That's why you get hard even though she hasn't taken her clothes off yet. You might call it, well, it's anticipation. It's actually not. It's an electrical field. You're already in the field.
Same thing like, used to, there's men get boners going into combat and things like that. It's the same thing. And it's not like it doesn't necessarily mean it's even sexual thing. It's an energy thing, and if it works, then it works.
I think that's actually the key, the secret to they're always trying to sexualize youth is because they're trying. That's a really powerful way of, excuse me, shorting out the electrical system is by convincing you that it's all sex based. It's no different than hunger. When I feel evacuated, like I would feel worthless in my past relationship with this person. I would feel worthless, but really what it was in my solar plexus was a void, an electrical void, right? And that electrical void felt like a vacuum. But because I've been blinded and gelded for so long, the only thing I could think of was, well, void. So it's down here. It's in my belly. So I need to put food in my mouth. That's it. Like I need to eat, and then I will feel better. I will fix the electrical field that way. It's they're taking all of your higher senses. Your what's the word? It's the ones you can't see. It's the intangible senses, and they're muting them. They're turning them off. This is the spell of Medusa, where they're telling you everything's made out of stone. No, even if you look really close, you'll find it's just a bunch of fucking rocks. It's just all electrons and rocks. And the entire time, quantum theory is literally pointing differently, saying, no, it doesn't work that way at all. They don't care. They still want it to be this way. That's why so much happened between 1880 and 1910, 1915. It's the discovery of of electricity was also the discovery of the electrical effects of the body. These are two great things. That's why they tell you everything's a vacuum instead of a plasma, by the way. This is exactly why. Because if you chronically cannot even think about a realm that has plasma in it, you would never be able to fluorescently light up a bulb. You guys have seen that with the Tesla coil, right? Where you turn on the Tesla coil and wirelessly the light lights up. That's all plasma. You're surrounded in a plasma field. But if you've been told everything's in a vacuum, all of your energy sucked up. It's a way of shorting out the system. Everything they do is about shorting out your system. All of it, your power systems, your immunity systems, it's all about that. They've known for a long time that EMF and RF are the best way to fuck you up. In fact, what is propaganda? What is a lie but an EMF field?
Right.
But a pressurized field wave that comes at you in a certain vibration that causes you to pick up a gun and shoot someone because of the clothes they're wearing. Because that's all it takes. Think about it. War is a fashion statement. You're not asking the other person, hey, what's your socio-political theory? Oh, okay, well, I don't like that. Boom. You don't fucking do that. You shoot him because of his fashion. And all it took was an RF signal to come into your head. All it took was an electromagnetic signal into your head. It invaded your field. Why? Because you had a porous hole. What is that porous hole? Language. How does that work? That's why they send you to school. They didn't send you to school because they cared about you. If you look at the mission statement of general public education in Rockefeller, he literally said, we don't want a bunch of scientists. No, we want a bunch of people that just know enough to get by. That's it. I'm not exaggerating. That's in the plan. This is all about attacking your EMF. This is all about attacking your immunity. This has all been an assault on your electrical field. And what is that but ego? Some call it charisma. Some call it plasma. Some call it prana. I don't care what you call it. But it's all been an attack on that.
The language is only important for us to convey the feeling. You know, like the language is the barrier. Okay, that's why, like, you know, there's in Japanese, there's a million different ways to say something compared to how you would say it in English. So when you're putting the language is the magic, the control mechanism, and then look what they've done to it over the years. I mean, through the use of emojis and everything else, they've basically stripped the language down to people using made-up words that mean nothing to other people. You know, like that's on fleek, yo, or like, you know, even, you know, back in, you know, that's cool, man. Like, okay, so those words don't mean exactly what they're designed to mean, but you have an inflection behind them that evolves and changes to where it breaks down communication in people, unless you're really willing to step over the line and try to understand what the other person's trying to say. So it's a generational gap that's forced in there. It's a societal gap that's forced in there. Whereas, you know, when you're with somebody else, and I think it was you pointed this out, when you're with someone else, you can feel their energy. You can see their face, read their body language. You can absorb how they feel. You can tell if they're angry or they're mad, you know, just by looking at them. I mean, what do you think that is? You think that's reason, or maybe there's a little bit of an energy going on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you're,
empathy is yeah, empathy is a form of telepathy. It's
yep.
it's a literal connection. That's why in an fRMI, your entire brain lights up when you see someone's face, and it's your adrenal system, your endocrine system is like an antenna. It's not like, it's an antenna. That's why it's got to spread out the glands everywhere. It's if you were to take a soft antenna and clump it all up in a bag, it's not going to work. You got to stretch the wires out. You got to stretch them out far enough so they can read a signal. That's what we are. That's why having you 6 feet away, that's why having you wearing a surgical mask is, again, another attack on your electrical system. It's stopping you from getting any kind of feedback from any other human. It's making you, inflammation is what it is. They're attacking you with inflammation, if you think about it, because they're trying to create a space between you and anyone else that reminds you of who you are. Back to language for a sec, because I don't think people fully understand this. If you could not understand language, the electrical field that's around you would have no holes in it. It would have no porous ability for an outside force to inject a field into you. Do you understand? It really is that simple. None of this is made up or intangible. When I see Joe moving, when he's moving his head, he's sending me an electrical signal of, yeah, James, that's right. I'm with you. That's him responding through an AC current that we have, going, yeah, man, I get you, 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 I get you. And between us, there's now a giant, a titan is formed. Something has happened between us. We are a zeitgeist of two. In a way, that's really what it is. I know I always talk shit about the zeitgeist. It's not that I think the zeitgeist is evil. It's that when you introduce a zeitgeist after snipping someone's manhood and telling him he's evil, when someone feels like they're evil, they have to project that. They have to spit out the evil that they feel like's inside. It's no different than clearing your nostril or spitting or whatever. That's why you hear repent, repent, repent. That's someone spitting out the evil inside themselves at a socially acceptable, non-expensive protocol, procedure that we have in the world. That's why Christians are allowed to spit at people in public, as long as they do the vibration right, as long as they have the word repent next to it. And I'm not just beating up on Christians, guys, but come on, we live in a Christian nation. This is what you're going to see the most of. You see the same thing with liberals. You see the same thing with Republicans. It's all the exact same thing. It's the exact same formula of people that have projected evil inside themselves and spitting it out at each other. That's what we've created. And when you're a real man, it's going to be a ping pong ball up against a brick wall. The building isn't even going to know it happened. And actually that develops a sense of empathy. The people that challenge me now, this is interesting. The people that are like, oh, James, you're just doing all this for attention, or, oh, James, you're just doing this for this or this. They're not actually attacking me. What they're doing is they're kicking my tires, man. They're going, how much shit can you take? How strong are you? And if I'm going to listen to what you're saying, I need to know if you're legit, man, because I'm in a world of dissonance and I'm surrounded by a bunch of superficial motherfuckers that are weak as hell. So I'm going to give you shit right now, James. And I'm going to see, do you feel my ping pong balls? Or does it feel more like a golf ball? Or does it feel more like a wrecking ball? And that's what women want. They want a fucking wall, man. They want a living human mountain, because that mountain's intimidating. And if anyone else comes around and sees Joe's mountain, that will be the last house they go to say, you guys need to remember the quarantine. In fact, if anyone else gives them shit, hey, how come Joe's kids are allowed to? It's like, I'll get to Joe. I'm talking to you right now. And that's that cop going, I don't want to fucking go do that. And all we need is a bunch of us. That's all it takes, man. Everything that's happening to us, we are letting it happen. We're letting it happen every single day. And I'm going to be straight up with you guys. 7 million people died in the Great Depression. And that was before they had 5 centralized food trucks. All right? This is a ritual. They're not going to come kill us. They're going to get a lot more out of it if we kill each other. And right now, they're actually giving us everything we need. They're fucking up so bad. They're fucking up so bad right now. By them evacuating their CEOs, by them evacuating the work, by them doing all this other stuff, we have a rare opportunity to dig into the soil and plant our own food, make our own schools, make our own communities, and say, I don't need to go to Denver. I don't need to go to Atlanta. I need nothing from there. Sure, it'd be nice, but it'd be no different than when I'm living back in Deadwood and some dude walks in and he's got a piece of tin from France. And it's like, holy shit, you got tin from France? That's amazing. It's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Da, da, da. It'll be a nice novelty. But we've now decentralized. We now have our own campfires. And check this out. When a witch finder comes, because that's what COVID-19 is, what does a witch finder do? He comes into a town and says, hey, you guys got any witches? And the town's like, no, we ain't got any witches. He's like, oh, shit. All right. And then he goes back out and he's like, I got to put some witches in this town. If I get some witches in there, they're going to pay me to get witches. When you're decentralized, they have to come to every fire now. Every single fire they're going to have to come to and inject this lie and inject this poison. That's how we make it expensive as a tribe, because we're no longer functioning on the zeitgeist. Think about it. Think about, how would COVID-19 even spread? We'll talk about the PSYOP. How would it even spread if we didn't have the internet? It wouldn't, right? It would be impossible.
That's why it's part of the reason why it's beautiful, and it's a masterstroke. I mean, you've literally eliminated the public square and forced everybody into this square where they have been for the last like 4 or 5 years, 6 years maybe, completely flexing their censorship muscles and their, beta testing their control mechanisms, shadow banning, things like that. But again, by doing this, they're putting their faith in their technology. Okay, and that's, humans will beat technology every single freaking time. Okay, I mean, I'm a technology guy at the top of the technological food chain. Okay, I'm not like a fucking engineer or anything like that, but I help to manage those people and global crises of technology that impact hospitals, banks, restaurants, everything. Okay, if you understood the amount of attention it needs to keep the beast Leviathan going from humans, you would understand that the odds of automated robots marching down our streets anytime soon without a geek squad in the fucking rocker seat on the back is a complete impossibility. So these are all like little nightmare scenarios, like pandemics. Pandemics are a Hollywood thing, okay? We can trace every single time we've had like these mass die-offs back to electrical grids. I'm not saying that's always the thing. I mean, obviously the terrain comes into factor. If you're living in a squalor and there's no food available and everybody's eating shit food, then there's going to be states of disease and people dying. But the odds of a virus that is a pandemic thing that kills lots of people doesn't add up. We would have been extinct fucking eons ago if there was a such thing. Okay, if immunity was what they say it was, we wouldn't exist. So, and that's all to really extrapolate that, okay? I mean, if you can't, everybody hide indoors from a fucking virus, and then all of something that technically, even according to its own science, can't exist outside. Like, I mean, like, really, come on, you're going to throw the world in the garbage based upon that. I'm not saying.
They're in the ocean now, Joe. They're telling you they're in the ocean. They're saying that viruses are in the ocean now. Meanwhile, there are 180, I think it's right, 180 trillion viruses in your body right now, guys. I think it's 280. I'm going to say 280 trillion. There's 280 trillion viruses inside your body right now. What makes you think that if they declare war on one of them right now that shuts down the entire world, what's going to stop them from declaring war on the other 279 trillion? Like, seriously, what would stop them?
Nothing.
The same thing that stopped them at 9/11. It's when you change your prana economy with somebody. If you decide that you're no longer going to give someone your energy every day by going, that's a great story, I really love it, When you decide one day you're no longer going to do that, it's going to be so hard because of all the bullshit that you did before. You told them for years and years, this is okay, this is okay, this is okay. It's going to be as hard as it's going to be doing this right now with the government, because we've established a prana economy for a long, long time. And that's why you're going to have to do a clean break. That's why I keep pushing out my renouncement things that I've done. I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me, but I recall all my consent I've ever given the corporation called the United States of America. I do not recognize a fictitious entity. I do not recognize the ability for a fictitious entity to own property. Those are impossible to me. I do not recognize legal language. I find the legal language to be confusing and something that is not communicatable to me as a human, nor am I able to have a communication with a fictitious organization, nor can I pretend that that exists in the world. Therefore, any fictitious organization that claims to own property is null and void. No, that's impossible. A fiction can't own property. I am not a corporate fiction. I'm a living man of the soil. I am a free man. I am here and I have natural law, which means I can travel wherever I please. I can do whatever I want to do. We have a natural law system in place. It's no different than what you see in nature. I have a feeder. Right now, there's a woodpecker right now,
Cool.
and the other birds have to wait. They have to wait right now because the woodpecker's on the feeder.
Hey, you don't fuck with the woodpecker.
But if that woodpecker stayed there for 2 hours, those birds would say, I'm no longer down with this. I need to get on there now. It's a natural law system that's happening. If those birds thought that they were shitty, they wouldn't fight back. If they thought they were terrible or they didn't deserve it or whatever else, they would never respond. But when everyone's being a bird, when everyone's, even the chickadees are like badass. They're the littlest guys there.
Yep.
But they can still run anyone off because they're natural born birds. They're of the land.
Titmice up the woodpeckers, and titmice are related to the chickadee. So it's true. They come in, they, you know, there's 2 or 3 of them, and the woodpecker's like, all right, I've had enough. I'm out of here. Yeah.
Exactly. It's we are natural. We weren't, the world wasn't created and then we were put here. I'm sorry, it just didn't work that way. We were unfolded with the world. We were part of this, okay? You were not 70 years old. You're not 40 years old. You're not 30 years old. You're 200,000 years old.
Hundreds of millions of eons old.
What we do right now in the next 30 days is going to determine the future of your entire totem, all your ancestors. They're waiting for you to either fuck them hard or stand their ground. And when you tap into the soil, all of their power is there waiting for you. The power actually comes when you think about your future. Right now, Joe is actually charging the totem pole for his kids because he's thinking about their future all the time. And what they're able to do is when they remember something their dad did, what they're doing is they're following down the totem pole and they're grabbing energy that's been stored there by Joe. He buried it for them like a time capsule. He buried it for them there. Someone before you buried you things. They buried you things and the government made you forget. It's been erased. They cut down the groves. They smeared it with bones. They made you forget, but it's there. And by you remembering, what you're really doing is taking your root and pushing through the fucking rocks, man. It's pushing. Or if you want to look at it this way, it's pushing up through the concrete. That's a root that's tapped. When you hit your ancestor, you're going to be blown away by this huge current. And now you're going to have this giant pool of water, rich mineral water that you didn't have before. And it's going to make you taller and taller and taller. And that's what they're afraid of. And that's what we need right now. All right. We're
up 2 hours pretty much here, aren't we?
Yep. We should probably sign off. Joe, thanks for hanging out with me today.
2 hours fly by as usual, my friend.
Yeah, man. Well, I just want to say thanks again. You've always been in my corner, pointing stuff out, reminding me of things I should know. And it's yeah, man. Thanks for raising a Titan with me. Thanks for being the giant.
I am absolutely thrilled to be a part of it, and I'd like to, going forward, maybe we should have some more campfires with men, if you want. A couple of private campfires where me and you and some other tribe can get together and have a few sessions, and then invite the ladies in too, and then kind of go public with it. I'd be totally down to try to reawaken some stuff that I've rediscovered in myself as a man with other men.
Right on, man.
That would be a really great prawn exchange.
I'm all for that. And I want to stress again, this isn't going to work as one big tribe, but I am one of 19. All right. I am one of 19. All of you guys are that same way. It's not going to work as the James True tribe or the Joe tribe or whatever. It's not going to work that way. Okay. We need small, decentralized nodes of badass motherfuckers. And when we see each other across the valley pounding on drums, we're going to be like, man, how does Joe get such a big sound in his drum? And it's going to make us drum even more. It's all about that, man. So power up, man up, tribe up. Those are your 3 things. That's what you're working on. All
And
those.
do not despair. Do not despair.
No panic, man. Yep. No
Do not,
panic.
fear is the mind killer. Do not panic. Absorb your fear. Use it. Harness it.
Yep.
Much love,
right.
Trev. Much love, James. Love you guys.
Love you too, Joe. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Your
We
weekend.
appreciate it.
My pleasure.